Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Sports Extra. I'm your host Ahmed Nawaz with the latest roundup of sports today. We're going to start off with the Euros because the quarter-final lineup has now been completed. All intense games that we're going to witness in the quarter-finals, but I'm personally very glad for Turkey, who have after a gap of 15 years have made it to the quarter-finals as well. They're going to be facing the Netherlands. They've played some quality football. Elsewhere, when you talk about the lineup, Germany's there as well, Portugal's there, Spain is there, France is there. Of course, France and Portugal go head-to-head against each other. England face Switzerland, Turkey face Netherlands, and Germany is also in there as well. So it's going to be very interesting that we talk about these games as well. Germany facing Spain, I think, is almost equivalent of a final. So we got to talk about that game in realistic terms as well. And then, of course, we talk about the brand of football, like I said, that Turkey have played because of their fitness and the amount of pressure they've built on the teams as well. So we're going to be talking about that in detail. And then, of course, we move on to the Copa America. Argentina set to play against Ecuador in the first quarterfinal. Venezuela is all set to face Canada in the second. Colombia take on Panama in the third. And Uruguay face Brazil in the fourth. So that quarterfinal lineup has also been completed. So I think exciting football is up on offer. So on one side, you've got the Euros, then you've got the Copa America. I think exciting for football fans all around the world. Then we move on to cricket, where we tell you that Chairman Pakistan Cricket Board, Mr. Mohsin Naqvi, has approved the yo-yo fitness test that now returns to the Pakistan cricket team. He's given the official approval and the yo-yo test will now return. And of course, it's not just that, it's also been decided that fitness would now be a criteria for central contracts. So your fitness results will determine your central contracts as well. So we'll talk about that as well. And two phases of these tests that start from 11th of July. Test international and national cricketers must pass all fitness tests to secure their central contracts. So we're going to be talking about that as well. Then we move on and we discuss the Lanka Premier League as well, where Shadab Khan has taken a hat-trick for Colombo Strikers. Good for his confidence, I think, after, an okay World Cup. I'm just being a bit nice on this stage. I think it's always great to perform in league cricket. So credit to you, Shadab Khan. Well done. Then, of course, like I said, it's a lot to discuss on today's show. And time now to introduce the guests. First of all, in studios, we've been joined by the legend himself, our sports expert, Mr. Ali Mehdi. Assalamu alaikum. How are you?
Welcome, Islam. I'm very well.
Thank you for joining us. We've also been joined by sports expert Saad Khalid. Assalamu alaikum, Saad. How are you?
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us as well. So, of course, in detail, we'll discuss all of this as well. And like I said, I think the most interesting part when I look at these quarterfinal lineups is the amount of interest that we're going to be talking about. That on one side, you've got the Euros, one side, you've got the Copa America. So, everything is happening in between. But Ali Mehdi, let's start with the Euros, of course. We're bound to. I think before we discuss any other team that's made it to the quarterfinal lineup, we have to talk about Turkey.
Incredible scenes. Turkey, after 16 years, they've actually progressed into the knockout phase, into the quarterfinals of a major championship of a Euros. I remember Euro 2008, if I'm not mistaken, they made the semi-finals, after which they lost. Fairy tale run, and after that, Turkey have this ability. After every few years, they always made this incredible run. Remember the World Cup in South Korea and Japan, they made it to the World Cup semi-finals where they lost to Brazil. 2008 Euros, where it happened in Austria and and Switzerland, they actually made it to the semi-finals. This time round, once again, after a very long time, 16 years, they have a very good team. They have a lot of youth, exuberance of youth, and they've actually managed to go really far and gone into the quarterfinals after beating Austria. I mean, on the day, people thought that Austria would be the better team. They played better, but at the end of the day, it's all about chances. And Demirel, when he really needed to step up, he scored an incredible header and then at the same time latched on to a rebound goal. So overall, brilliant performance by Turkey and much deserved place in the quarterfinals of.
Well, Ali Mehdi, it's an interesting challenge up ahead when they face the mighty Dutch.
The Dutch are looking magnificent themselves. Now, the Dutch yesterday had a tricky tie against Romania, where Romania started off very well, but then once again, the Liverpool man himself, Cody Gakpo, scored an absolute bullet, cutting in and scoring, past this Romanian keeper. Then obviously Marin scored 2 goals too. So 3-0. Their team. Look, the Dutch, every few years, they're also another team who always disappear and then they come after a few years. 2000, let's not forget 2010, they made the runner-up of the World Cup. They haven't done too well in the Euros, but this time round, they have a great opportunity, played very well. And up next, they're going to play Turkey. So overall, they are the dark horses. They are looking very good. They have a very good captain in the form of the Liverpool legend himself, Virgil van Dijk. So overall, a very solid team. And if there's any team you really want to put your money on to go really far in the tournament, from that section of the draw, it has to be the Netherlands.
Well, Saad, it's been an inspiring journey for Turkey. I mean, it's not just them making it to the quarters, it's about the level of football that they've played. Especially, I must talk about the exceptional fitness that they've carried throughout this tournament.
Absolutely, and this has been in the talks. Turkish players' fitness, it was remarkable. And if you talk about the match, the way they've displayed themselves in the defensive line, that has been amazing. And of course, before the match started, and not to take anything away from the crowd, this match seemed like it was a home match for them, and the crowd was absolutely alive. I think that had something to do with their win as well. But if you talk about the match, something to talk about Austria as well. Austria did not seem too confident with their defensive lineup. I think 2 goals from the near post, that was something to talk about, and it did not, before the match, it did not seem that Austria would seem this weak. But then again, and I was reading something about Turkish football as well. They're structured, they're evolving. They're focusing a lot on their youth, and they're giving their players the confidence that they need to showcase themselves in at the international level. And it was just amazing to watch Turkish doing so well. And again, the way they've been pressing, that was something to talk about.
But Saad Ali Mehdi has called the mighty Dutch to take this draw. But what are your thoughts when you pitch those two teams together?
Honestly speaking, anything can happen, man. but of course, Netherlands, they're the giants, and obviously people would be, they would be predicting that Netherlands would go ahead. But I think that it's going to be a great match. It's going to be a tough match. It won't be just that simple.
Well, Ali Mehdi, let me now come to your favorite. I think that's my pick. I think I'm probably suggesting that this is your favorite. I don't know yet, but I think it has to be Germany-Spain.
Well, my favorite actually, who I support, is Portugal, but I think the tournament...
No, the most interesting draw I'm talking about. I know that you're supporting Cristiano and
of course.
Portugal, even I'm going there, but I think the most interesting draw that you perceive is probably Germany-Spain.
Yeah, it's a final before the final. I mean, you look about it, it's a repeat of the 2008 final where Torres actually managed to go and score a solo goal and help Spain win the Euros after a period about 40 years, after a period of 44 years. So, I mean, it itself is a final before the final. It's not the match with people, the pundits and people predicted, but at the end of the day, it is like we mentioned, a final before the final. Look, Germany have been brilliant at home. They've been playing very well at home. They are the favorites at home. And whenever there's a home tournament for Germany, they always do very well. Let's go back to 2006, the World Cup, where they made the semi-finals and they were invincible until Italy beat them in extra time, scoring 2 late goals. And up till now, they've been, I'm not even sure they've conceded a goal in this tournament. So they've been absolutely brilliant, but they're coming up against a Spain who people have written off. Youth Spain, a team which is actually being, whose captain is Alvaro Morata, who's himself is doing very well. Rodri, the best midfielder in the world, the central midfielder, defensive midfielder in the world, a very solid defense too. And then the young Yamel, who's running the show over there. So, I mean,
but Ali Mehdi, there's been a lot of talk about the Spanish side of how they have tried to extract the younger generation now and move on to the next phases of football. So that is something that I think we need to talk about, because over, I must say, a couple of years, it has been something to talk about as well.
No, definitely. I mean, you talk about this way the Spain team has evolved. Gone are the days, the 2010s, the 12s, the great Spanish teams of the likes of Casillas was there too, then Xavi, Iniesta, all these players were there. You had one of the great teams over there. Carvajal was, he's still there, Carvajal, but then Ramos was over there too. So that team has gone. But it's amazing how they've managed to evolve. They had some bleak years in the form of from 2014 to 20 where they haven't gone deep. But this is an opportunity for them. They really have an opportunity now, because people have written off. People think that Germany are going to do well. But the sort of football they're playing high intensity football. They're pressing the ball very well. And they've got some world class players over there. Like I mentioned, Rodri is one, Yamel is one, Morata is over there too. Ferran Torres is there too. So I mean, you cannot write off the Spanish. It's amazing how they've evolved. Whereas other teams like Italy have actually managed to completely, fall into the pits. I mean, the Spanish team have done extremely well, and it's going to be a cracker of a match. Germany versus Spain. I think it is the tie.
What's your pick on that? It's a difficult one, but what's your pick on that?
I mean, it's so hard one to call this. I really cannot say. I think because Germany are playing at home, I think they're going to edge this either in extra time or penalties. But because Germany are playing at home and they're so good at home, I think they should edge this, especially in extra time.
Well, tricky call for Ali Mehdi, but Saad, it's like I said, it's a match deserving of a final ovation. But the fact is that two interesting teams who have played quality football towards their journey of the quarterfinals.
Well, 100%, and I'm just so excited about the pace of the match. I mean, I'm just too excited how this match is going to turn up, because it's going to, obviously it's the match of the tournament, but I'm just too excited how it's going to turn out. I mean, of course, I agree with Ali that it's I don't see it coming to any conclusion in 90 minutes. It's going to go into the extra time, but then again, since it's the home match for Germany, I would be counting on them, or probably this is going to go into Germany's way. But I have to talk about Spain. Spain has been absolutely marvelous. I mean, well, this is a good opportunity for them to prove themselves that yes, they're back. I mean, Ali was just mentioning something about 2010s and 2012s, and they have to prove that okay, you cannot write them off. They're the team to, they're in the race, and they will be in the race or in all those international tournaments.
I think since the last World Cup, people had expected more of a dominance, but that never really happened. So I think you're right in this one, Saad, that probably I think we might see that dominance return. That might just happen.
And we saw that in the last match, the way they've been pushing themselves, and the pace that the possession that they've been really fast.
But call it, Saad, Germany, Spain. Where are you going with this one?
I'm going to go with Spain. Okay, then let's have competition then in that regard.
Well, certainly, but I just want it to be a goals galore. I think the pace of football that we're talking about, it has to be a goals galore, because that's going to be. Well, Ali Mehdi, the $1 million question: is it coming home now? I think let's move on to that.
Well, look, England are so lucky. I mean, in the last match, we didn't have an opportunity to talk about. They were literally this close to actually being eliminated from the tournament too. Literally 1 minute, and then you have a bicycle incredible goal by, I think, one of the Ballon d'Or nominees in the form of Jude Bellingham, who scored an incredible goal. He's literally carried them on his shoulders. The day he doesn't perform, that is when England are in trouble. But then he actually managed to bail them out, and then Harry Kane scored the goal through a typical header. So, I mean, England have not got going. That is something which is very good for them, because look, they're a team which normally starts slow. If you're starting slow, they can only get better. They've been useless throughout this tournament too. They haven't really been tested, and then when they had their backs against the wall, they almost went out. They actually managed to score 2 goals. So they're going to have their work cut out against the Swiss, because let's not forget, Swiss actually managed to knock out defending champions Italy. And whilst Italy weren't as strong as they used to be, still, they are the defending champions too. And Switzerland did it with ease, beating them 2-0. So it is going to be a really tricky tie. But at the end of the day, look, England have to get better, and if they really want to progress to their semi-finals and try to repeat what they did in 2021, then they have to beat Switzerland, and then potentially score a knockout, potentially have a knockout tie against the Netherlands.
Well, that probably can happen, but there's been a lot of pressure, Saad, on Southgate or the English players, and I think Ali Mehdi is right. The way Jude Bellingham has been playing his football has been exceptional, and who better to end that journey through to the quarterfinals and just push them through than Harry Kane with that header out of nowhere, to be honest.
Of course, I mean, they've been asking him to do something about that, I mean, Harry was on the lookout for the goals as well. But I did see a shift in the approach in the last match. If we talk about England, the scarcity of the goals, that had been a point of discussion as well, and we did see that England they tried to push themselves a little. But the point of concern then again lies that how are they going to approach this important fixture? Are they going to further enhance, or maybe are they going to push themselves or not? Because they've been controlling the ball, they've been keeping the ball at low pace a lot, and that have been a point of concern for them, because they've been they've been too much into the zone, and they haven't been trying to make too many opportunities when you talk about the front line.
I think that pretty much sums up the quarterfinals when we talk about them as well. So I think England, Switzerland, Spain, Germany, and then of course you talk about the fact that the Netherlands against Turkey as well. But Ali Mehdi, your favorite team is up against the mighty French now. So I think that in itself, whether it will be Viva la Blues or whether it is another fairy tale for Cristiano Ronaldo's golden book of football, is something that I'm really, really interested to see right now.
Another repeat of the 2016 final, where Cristiano Ronaldo managed to finally win an international trophy when Eder scored from long range and managed to give Portugal their first European championships. Look, I think it's another final before final, because look, France versus Portugal is a mouth-watering tie. It's going to be a brilliant match altogether. And look, the best thing about this match is, look, first let me start off with France. France have not scored a goal from open play. I mean, how ridiculous is that, with the forms of Mbappe there, Thuram there, Griezmann over there, Tchouaméni over there. I mean, you expect goals galore, but I mean, who's been their top scorer? Own goals for that matter. So it's very surprising. And then obviously Mbappe scoring one penalty, but no open goals over there. So they can only get better too. They got lucky against Belgium when Vertonghen actually managed to score an own goal, but they can only get better. They are obviously the 2018 world champions, and they didn't perform very well last time round. So they hopefully are hoping to do better. But on the other side, Portugal, one of the tournament favorites, they themselves have had a mixed bag over here. Losing to 2-0 to Georgia. Before that, beating 3-1 against Turkey 8-2, and then in the last match, I mean, it was just unbelievable. They were unable to do anything. They actually managed to. It was Diego Costa who actually.
But Ali Mehdi, what the Portuguese need to realize right now at this moment is that France has not played to their full strength. I must say that I haven't seen that quality of French football that we saw in that World Cup. So it's very important that if they do pull that off, then definitely I think Portugal have got to have a change in tactics themselves as well.
Let's be very honest about them. Both teams have been useless compared to what they normally are. We have to be brutally honest about this. Both teams have so much potential over there, and France over here, for that matter, has still not going. They're stuck in first or second gear. They're trying, but they're just so bad in front of goal. And I think the system isn't really working, because look, Mbappe got injured in the first match too, hasn't really come in the last match. He came and performed, also in the group stage, the final match he came, and then also in this last match too. But that fluidity isn't there, that finishing ability isn't there. They need to be clinical in front of goal. Whereas when you talk about Portugal, they themselves haven't been good up front too. They have to get the best team and play against, because the next match is going to be two brilliant machines, I mean, in the form of Portugal and France. So you have to make sure, that they are up to speed over there and playing an optimum level, because if one of teams are not playing well, the other team is going to really...
Could it be the last Euro that we see Cristiano Ronaldo?
No, he's already admitted it. This is the last Euros. Look, he's 39. He's going on to 40. He'll be 40 in 2015. He's already not even sure whether he's going to make the 2026 World Cup, where he'll be possibly 41. But look, I think that now age is probably catching up on him, because he's not really been clinical in front of goal. He's been a brilliant servant. He's playing very well in Saudi Arabia, but playing on that international elite level, I just don't think he has that. He's not really cutting it, and probably he is sacrificing somebody else's position, because look, we want the best for him. He is the GOAT, but I just feel that he's just been...
So where are you going with this one?
Look, it's a tough one. Look, I love both teams. These are my favorite.
I have to say Portugal. There's no question.
I'm going to support Portugal for this one, but if this is to be the end of Cristiano Ronaldo, I would really do hope that Mbappe and France wins it, because I love these two teams.
Well, since you even said it's coming, how dare you support the French? I would have said that if you went that way. But Saad, interesting. I think I agree with Ali Mehdi. As my good friend Bumble would always say, rubbish. So that's been happening with both of these teams, that the full potential hasn't been explored, and you want at least a quarter-final with France and Portugal to be worthy of a quarter-final at least.
Absolutely, and this is probably one of the reasons why we can't really expect this to be a goals galore. This match would be, you won't be seeing a lot of goals in this match. And again, if you talk about both the teams, if you look at the stats, they have been, both of them, they've been off target. Have you noticed? I mean, they haven't been testing the keepers. I'm talking about both these teams. And then again, if you talk about Ronaldo, he has been not up to the mark when you talk about the set pieces. And this is something. And and if you really talk about if this is going to be his last match, then Ronaldo has this habit of doing it, because when you expect that
when you least expect it.
it's like, and especially when Pepe makes an error, I mean, and then this often happens. History might repeat itself, and I really think that I just have this feeling.
Well, let's move from continent to continent now, and we discuss the Copa America quarterfinal that has been completed as well. Argentina, Ecuador, Venezuela, Canada in there is surprising. Yeah. Colombia and Panama and Uruguay is going to face Brazil. I'm more interested in Uruguay, Brazil, Ali Mehdi. I'll be very honest in that quarterfinal lineup.
And let me tell you one thing, looking at this Copa America, how it's panned out till now, Brazil have not been playing good football. I mean, Brazil in their last match they actually drew, and if I'm not mistaken, it was against Colombia. You expect the Brazils, the Brazils who's had the legends, the Peles, the Ronaldinhos, the Ronaldos, the Neymars, and Rivaldos to perform better, but they just haven't really been fired in this tournament too. And whilst people were expecting them to go the distance, they've actually labored themselves through. So
I don't see team football anymore. So I'll be honest.
It's going to be a very difficult try. I mean, they're playing against Uruguay, and Uruguay are a very good team. Uruguay could actually win this one. I think this is a big banana skin for Brazil.
No, but if they win this one, I frankly think, because the way Argentina have been playing their football, I think they're then tipped as the favourites.
I think Argentina tipped into the favourites. I mean, the way Lautaro Martinez is scoring goals for fun. 4 goals he's been scoring, and he's been looking invincible. And that team is gelling in very well together. Excellent defence, in the form of some brilliant this defence over lineup, midfield, strong midfield, and then obviously the magical Messi along with Lautaro Martinez. I cannot see any team other than Argentina winning this. Uruguay might have a chance over here, but I mean, I must say that Brazil are in big trouble because they are not playing good football.
Right, certainly. Well, thank you very much, Ali and Saad, for joining us for our football segment. We now move towards a short break, but when we come back, we discuss cricket. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Sports Extra. Now we discuss our cricket segment. In studios joining us is cricket commentator, broadcaster, international presenter, and our sports expert, K. Asif Ahmed. Assalamu alaikum, sir. How are you?
Walaikum assalam, Ahmed, and I'm ready for the yo-yo test.
Everybody is. It's either yo-yo test or ro-ro test. I don't know which way it's going to go, but we'll talk about that. We've also been joined by sports expert Umar Khan. Assalamu alaikum, Umar. How are you?
Walaikum salam. I'm very well, and thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for joining us, Umar. Right, Asif, let's get straight to it now. Chairman PCB has given the approval for the yo-yo test. It's going to define the central contracts, 2 phases of this test. It is a rigorous routine that is going to be there. I understand all of this, but my question is that if you have now decided to bring it back, why don't you investigate why you decided to let it go in the first place?
Well, Ahmed, before coming to your question, if you have seen that Gary Kristen has given his report, and the report sources are saying that the same thing which we have heard in 2007 when we lost against Ireland, that the discipline issues, the players, they were not on the same page.
The dressing room environment.
The dressing room environment was the concern. This is what we heard. Same thing when we, let's talk about the year past when Pakistan lost in 50 overs World Cup, and the same thing, skipper came and he has resigned. He said that I'm taking the responsibility, but the sources said that there was something fishy among the players, and the environment of the dressing room wasn't good. So if the same thing is going on and we're hearing the same reports and same news again and again, it means that we're not working on the root causes. That what are the root causes? That, and before talking about this yo-yo test, why don't we talk about our to talk to the physio, talk to the psychiatrist, that what's going on with the players, and take their test as well, that either they're okay and are they dealing well with the Pakistan team. So that's a question mark. And now coming towards yo-yo test, I was just checking that who has scored the highest score in the
past yo-yo test.
Yes,
2 players only, Rizwan and Shan.
Rizwan and Shan. And what about Babar Azam? What about Azam Khan? What about rest of the players? What about Shaheen Shah Afridi? What about Haris Rauf, Naseem Shah, Shadab Khan? And why they guys didn't appear for the yo-yo test?
But
That's the
Asif, last
question.
time there was another thing that happened. Like I always say, everybody, we mentioned two names that were outstanding in their fitness, let's be honest. Apart from then, everybody was struggling. But they made an exception at that time, let me be very honest. So what they did was, not everybody passed, but they said, oh, okay, you've reached a certain criteria which is approved for us and you can go through. So if that's going to happen, and if some eye candy players are going to be given that, easy way into the central contracts of the team, then I don't understand how this test is going to proceed.
Well, Ahmed, don't you think that the Rizwan's presser is an eye-opener for everyone? Even then, if you're thinking that why Pakistan Cricket Board hasn't taken the action right before the World Cup, and why they didn't ask, and see, if you're not fixing someone, if you're not fixing responsibility, that who was the responsible for this, and if there is no accountability, then I think that there is no need for the yo-yo test. There is no need for the surgeries. Let it go, and we're happy that sometimes we're winning, sometimes we're losing, I think. But if you are serious and it's in your shopping list that you would have to fix the problems of Pakistan cricket, then please come up. This yo-yo test is okay, that for the future. We appreciate that at least you have taken a step. But what happened in the World Cup? We want to hear that. If you're bringing these kind of news that we'll do this in the future, and the future you will see some change, what happened in the World Cup? We want a surgery. We want a report of the surgery, that what happened and what Mohsin Naqvi has done so far.
I think let's keep it very simple. It should be a public model. Everybody has the right to know what's going to happen. And I think this is not the first time we've heard the terminologies yo-yo test, grand operation. It's been there in the past as well. Umar, what do you think is going to happen now? Once you finally decide that it's not the first time this is happening, that they've decided yo-yo test, fitness criteria, then central contracts, otherwise no central contracts. So what are we looking at right now? And considering Asif also has chipped in with the point that the coach has submitted his report, the senior manager has submitted his report, what are we expecting now as far as this entire development is concerned?
Well, if they stick to their word and they're actually strict about it, I think it'll be good for Pakistan team. And a lot of players won't be very happy about it, but in the long run, the results will be there. But what we've seen in the past, that things come up, but they don't follow it, and that is why we are where we are today. So we have to stick to the word. We have to play on merit. Fitness is something very important. We've never, taken fitness seriously, and this is why we're behind as compared to other teams. And this is one solid reason.
Well, Umar, how do we analyze this criteria now for certain players? Because like I said, in the past only 2 players reached that maximum level. What we tend to do is replicate a model we see outside Pakistan and we think it is okay. But before that, there needs to be a lot of other things. Fitness needs to be a culture. It can't be send them to a boot camp and send them to a World Cup. We need to understand, are we giving them the right mental strength? Are they match ready? Is the proper nutritional value? Is the rehab process there in NCA? I think if we don't answer this, then what we're going to do is break them in that yo-yo test.
Well, in this matter, the franchise do a better job than PCB, honestly, because they look after their players better than what PCB is actually doing these days. And if we compare Pakistan team to the other teams, 20 years ago, fitness was not an issue. You can carry on with the lazy player who can't run, who can't field. But now you can't. The fitness level is very important. If you see the kind of athletic catches the fielders are taking, and the kind of endurance you need to run the twos in T20 cricket, it's a high-octane cricket. Fitness is essential, and it's something that needs to be worked upon. If the players cannot meet the criteria, no matter we're losing right now, let's lose for 4 more years. But set a criteria and follow it strictly. I think if we can't do that, we can never get over this discussing every now and then that why we lost, what happened. You have to start from scratch and make some strong statements.
Asif, Umar mentions a brilliant point, that you've got to decide this criteria now. If you're, I think serious about changing that culture, then it doesn't matter that results aren't there for a year, 2 years. Eventually we'll reach that level where we'll build a team for the next 5-10 years. What teams around the world have done. It's a simple model. And because you mentioned that report in between as well, I just wanted to mention that I asked someone that report has now been submitted, what's going to happen? And you know what he replied? It was absolutely hilarious. He said, there is a possibility that the person who submitted the report can be sacked in Pakistan as well.
Yes, this is
so
what
everything can happen in this criteria.
This is what happened in the past as well. And if you see the track record of Pakistan Cricket Board, I don't want to go into the details, but see, Umar mentioned a very important point. But before coming to that point, I just want to clear and ask one thing. Where is accountability? We want accountability first and then yo-yo test. If there is an accountability and if you're fixing that yes, the chief selector or the skipper or maybe other players, they were responsible for this defeat in the World Cup, then okay, fine. Then we'll move on.
But my question is, the test start from 12th of July, if I'm not wrong. So if you were, in Gary's report, if you are the culprit of the team's failure in the World Cup, but you clear the yo-yo test, that means your all previous things have been lost now.
Well, Ahmed, this is what I'm saying. We want accountability first.
Step
you will
by
fix,
step.
You will tell us that these players or the management, they were responsible, and they will not be the part of Pakistan Cricket Board for next 2 or 1 year. We will not give them chances, any more chances. And then we'll go for the yo-yo test, and these players, and if they want to come for the yo-yo test, it's okay, but they're not in our, in our plans. This is what I'm saying. And if it's not happening, and if you're coming up with the yo-yo test, and let's suppose Azam Khan clears the yo-yo test, will you consider him for the Champions Trophy? What about Usman Khan? Will you consider him for the Champions Trophy? And some other players who didn't perform well in T20 World Cup?
We can move up a notch. What if the skipper fails it?
Well,
what happens then?
Simply bring new players. This is what I'm saying. Bring performance of the domestic cricket. Does not matter if you're losing. I'm not shy. I'm not scared that what will be the result. But I'll be happy that I'll see some new faces in Pakistan cricket team.
Certainly, and I think it's about time now as well. But like I said, that culture really needs to be established as well. But considering, Umar, what Asif mentioned does happen, and certain names are given and are deemed responsible. Immediately, I think because of these yo-yo tests, 2 retirements that came back probably are going to go back. I think that's going to happen. So that is one part of the picture. But considering that Gary's report is not only considered, but there is implementation and results on it as well, then how does Pakistan cricket proceed from there?
Well, if Gary Kirsten, whatever report he is given, is followed and he's not sacked, because in Pakistan we've seen only yes man gets the job, and he's certainly not a yes man. He'll just say honestly what's there, and he'll try to fix the team. If it is followed, then yes, we will get results, positive results. Right now, the dressing room is also not very sound. There are groupism, which is told, God knows what's the truth about it. But right now, we can feel and sense that there is a lot of things wrong. And to fix that, we have to start somewhere. Starting from fitness, I think it's a very good point, because if you're not fit, you can't compete on this level. Modern day cricket, as I mentioned before, requires a lot of fitness. And that is one point that has to be taken. You have to take a step down. If no player is bigger than the country, no player is bigger than the sport. You can always get good players. You can always get better players. So it is this team, this country, who has made them who they are. And if it's time for them to step down for a while for the betterment of the team, of the country, I think it won't be a big loss.
Well, certainly, that can be one such scenario, like I said, that if things do happen there as well. But then again, I agree with Asif's point as well, that whether it's the players or the management, you have to be very clear on this one as well. But I think it shouldn't be limited only to central contracts. Asif, we're talking about the top level of Pakistan cricket. We need to bring it down a notch as well. I think the definition of the cricket you're going to play on the domestic level also needs to be defined as a criteria there as well.
Well, I think that the regional associations now, they will be working on it. And I've heard that 16 regions will be playing domestic cricket. This system is working so strongly in UK, in England, I beg your pardon, in Australia, in India, that they have their own associations and they take their decisions. In Pakistan, that's the problem, you know, that ad hocism, no elections, and no club cricket. So that's why we're facing these kind of problems. But I'm quite sure that the way Pakistan Cricket Board has started, and they've taken some steps, and I've heard that 16 teams will be participating in Qaid-e-Azam Trophy and level 1 cricket, then I'll be happy.
But the quality of cricket they play, Asif, we've always talked about that.
Give them some time. There's the the first year of Mohsin Naqvi's regime, and we want to give them 3 years, and definitely in the next year, because the Qaid-e-Azam Trophy will be starting, or we'll say that the season will be starting from the September 1st, and then after this season we will see that either they have improved the level of cricket or not, either they've improved the quality or not. It will be decided after at least 1 year.
Well, I think believe in that long-term process. Don't rush things. Even if you talk about the yo-yo test, whatever you want to talk about as far as the cricket board is concerned, I think don't stress it. And I agree with Asif that you've got to improve the quality of domestic cricket, club cricket, grassroots, school cricket. One tournament shouldn't do the case.
Yes.
I mean, a frequent something, move on to another structure, increase the number of overs these youngsters are playing. You're going to build temperament from that as well. And, on one part of the picture, club cricket is happening in Islamabad. Obviously, there was a championship of clubs happening as well. And, of course, it was a fantastic, a youngster today, Suhail Shah, scored a brilliant knock and made sure his club won. So, congratulations to you, Suhail. And I was just watching that match, the scorecard live. It was exceptional the way he single-handedly took his team to victory. So, I mean, there are performances and they must be given that due credit.
And right before that, that the college tournament happened nationwide, and we've observed in Lahore, Karachi, Rawalpindi, you remain in the part and I remain the part. So, appreciable. I mean, this is really good stuff. Yeah.
I think but like I said, consistently do that. Don't make it a, one-part picture. But thank you very much, Asif, for joining us. Thank you very much, Umar Khan, as well. That, of course, wraps up Sports Extra from me and my entire team. It's goodbye for now.